Saberspark has done a sit-down interview with commentary YouTuber Cope and Seethe, revealing a ton of information about him and Emily's interactions, along with showing that he was able to recover an old iPhone he had from 2012, showing text messages between him and Emily in the multiple months following the alleged second incident that Emily claimed. And the text definitely gives some credence to the argument that Emily is lying about the whole thing. Cope and Seethe did a great job on the interview in the video, so it will be linked in the description, and he perfectly put together a timeline of events for the messages, and so I recommend you go watch that. However, he did send me the months of full unedited messages between Saber and Emily, and so we're going to dive into those, along with showing the internet's reactions to everything going down, including Brony Fandom, who's been reacting to the whole situation. Welcome to the internet versus Saberspark's Vindication. It starts when Saberspark quote tweets Cope and Seethe putting out his video and attaches this statement that says, "As some of you may know, false allegations were made against me last month. I was contacted by Beckett of the Cope and Seethe channel regarding what's been happening. Now that more information has come to light, I decided to speak up and share my text messages along with everything I have relevant to that time. I hope this provides closure on the matter for those who are still curious. I'm ready to move forward and get back to work." Saberspark also made a post on his YouTube community tab saying, "Moving forward. Hey folks, I hope y'all are well. This post is a general follow-up to recent events, my current state of affairs, and the future of the channel. Before anything else, I want to sincerely thank you all for giving me a chance to speak and share my perspective in regards to my recent situation. It's been a lot, but me and the team are hanging in there and we're ready to get back to work on projects. First off, I want to announce a shift in the channel's direction moving forward. I know I'm known for covering adult-oriented topics in my videos and that they have a big part in my channel's identity. They generate a lot of clicks and ads, but after further reflection, I realize now that I don't want that type of content to define me as a creator, so I've decided to tone back adult topics in my future videos. Now, that's not to say I'm banning all adult animation from my channel. It's still fun and interesting to talk about, but I will be taking a more respectful approach towards the genre in the future. I want to create projects about things I like, not just what draws in the views because of YouTube's algorithm. So from here on out, I will be making an effort to provide more substance and decorum in my videos. I want to slow down and focus on the quality of my projects versus the quantity of uploads. However, I will still cover the occasional topical movie or show, but I will be striving for a higher standard of quality across the board. I still look back on my VeggieTales video as my magnum opus, and I want to return to that caliber of content again. If anything, this new chapter will be a lot more fun and fulfilling to pursue. I've been doing YouTube professionally for over 10 years, and it's been one of my greatest blessings. I cannot overstate how thankful I am for what I have. I've also made some mistakes, but I always strive to learn from them and improve both as a creator and as a person. Now, I know some of you have asked about it, and yes, I am evaluating my legal options. The process takes time, and I want to ensure it's done correctly. There is more to the story that will come to light in due time, but that's all I will say about it for now. Overall, we will be getting back to videos and projects very soon. Despite the bumps in the road, there is still a lot to look forward to with many awesome changes and improvements on the horizon. The goal of the channel has and will continue to be the discussion and celebration of animation. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all for your support. I also want to give a shout out to our YouTube members and patrons in particular. Y'all really had our backs, helped us to stay afloat, and we could have never done it without you. Thanks again for standing by us, folks. We'll be back soon. Saber. And now, thanks to Beckett, there is a whole bunch of texts revealed between Saberspark and Emily back in 2012, immediately after the cons where Emily first said everything happened. In these texts, there's talks of all sorts of things, where Emily even says to Saberspark that the events where the second incident allegedly happened was actually her favorite and she loved it. And these texts really reveal a whole bunch of information about their interactions. And we all know the internet can be a daunting place with drama stories or information spreading like wildfire. I mean, look at this. Even just looking at my personal email can reveal all sorts of information about myself that I didn't even know was out there. I mean, they got my city on here, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I don't like that. That's why I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Just like with people who farm drama on the internet like myself, there are companies whose job it is to farm your data. And if you've ever wondered how scammers get access to your phone and your email gets flooded with spam, well, this is why. These people work without your consent and can make billions off of selling your information to companies online. However, they are legally required to remove this information upon request, but the process can be confusing and challenging, and it's made that way by design. And that is where Aura comes in, because they do this whole process automatically for you, taking your information off of these websites and keeping it off. They have all sorts of incredible features like giving you alerts if your personal info is found on the dark web, real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, 24/7 monitoring to help keep your identity secure, a VPN, antivirus, password manager, and more, along with US-based support that is available around the clock if something goes wrong. Plus, if something does go wrong, Aura offers $5 million in identity theft insurance protection. It's one app for all the layers of protection that you need. And I always find it absolutely absurd that these companies are able to rip you off, steal your data, and sell it online. It makes sense. I mean, people are evil, but that's why I choose Aura to protect myself. Try Aura for free for 14 days at aura.com/internetversus. In those 2 weeks, you'll easily discover where your data is being exposed and sold. But back to the video, we have some text to read here. The DMs between Emily and Saberspark are as follows. Starting from December 18th, 2012, which would have been roughly 1 month after the second incident, 3 months after the first alleged incident, Emily texts Saberspark, why did you unfollow me? Steven, I want you to be honest with me. It's making my heart ache thinking that you're mad at me to the point where you unfollow me. After what I've been put through, I deserve some form of explanation. And Saberspark replies, it is nothing personal, but when I open up my newsfeed, I see like 100 tweets from you. I tend to not follow people who tweet so much. Sorry, it wasn't personal. And Emily replies, I'm just trying to be different and reply to people who want to talk to me. The thing is, and please bear with me on this, but you know how I look up to you like a brother, so it hurt my feelings. I'll stop replying to people so much if it's a problem. And Saber says, it's all good, I'll follow ya. And Emily replies, thanks. I'm sorry for coming off emotional. I'm just stressing out over things. Then a few hours later, she texts him again. Did you unfollow me again? I've only tweeted like 2 times within these past few hours. What is going on? And Saber replies, because I want to avoid drama. I feel like you are latching onto me and I need space. Sorry, Em. I need this for the time being until the doc is done. And she replies, why couldn't you be honest with me for all these months? It's not like I'm obsessive over you. It's hard to do my own thing when you've been fooling around with my emotions in the first place. I'm not the only one at fault. And Saber says, I am the bad guy and for that I am sorry. And she replies, I asked you to promise me one thing and you couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I can't accept your apology at this moment. Then a few months later, he decides to text her again saying, hey Em, I won't take too much of your time. I just wanted to say sorry. Sorry for how I treated you. Sorry for going silent for months and not chatting with you. It is my fault. I got scared and ran away and left you behind. I was a bad friend, so I just wanted to apologize. I'm not expecting you to be kind or talk to me again at this con or ever, and that is fair, but I just wanted to say sorry. I won't avoid you. I won't treat you like you were in the wrong because everything was my fault. I just wanted to admit to it. I hope you can forgive me. I don't expect a reply or forgiveness, but I just wanted to own up to my sins. I'd understand if you didn't want anything to do with me. Take care, Em, and have an awesome time at the con. And she replies, I guess I'm not sure what to say. And he says, you don't have to say anything. I just want to bury any hatchet so you don't have to think I'm the bad guy. You can still avoid me, that's expected, but I just wanted to say sorry at the least and lay this to rest. And Emily replies, I understand. I guess at this point I can forgive you. However, I do not want any more of this messing around. I'm dating Solrak now. If you want to be friends, then that's fine. And he says, of course. That time is over and long gone. I'm happy for you too, and I wish you the best. Then Emily says, thank you. I appreciate it. Dave told me you asked about me. And Saber says, lol, well, I wanted to lay this to rest. And Emily says, it's all good. I'm glad you apologized. I won't ignore you anymore. Didn't want to make it awkward. And Saber says, good. Then she texts him a few more times saying, ha, enjoying the con. Then there you go. I followed you again. Then people want you to visit Solrak's charity stream. And he says, I'm out with my friend at the moment. Sorry, Em. And she says, it's cool. Race was looking for you. Sorry. Then she says, this chick is plain evil. He replies, don't pay attention to her, just a hater. And she says, thank you. I appreciate it. Then a couple weeks later, she says, I need a hug. Then 10 days later, she says, can I have some advice? And Saber says, what's up? And she says, is there a chance we can chat on Skype? It's a bit of a long story. If not, I'll text. And he replies, I really can't talk at the moment. Cool if you text it? And she says, all right, here it goes. Carlos and I broke up. The reason we did was because he suddenly decided that he didn't like me being a mother. He wanted me to leave Lucy behind and be with him. Then he talked to his dad and he didn't approve of the relationship, and he is going by that. I mean, the boy is 18. He can make big boy decisions on his own, you'd think, especially regarding dating someone. I want to take Lucy and move to California so I can become an animator. I feel like complete shit right now because I want to make things work with Carlos. I don't know how. And he replies, personally, I'd take a step back and refocus on your own life, on challenges you can tackle. Lucy is your daughter, so there is no leaving her behind, and it is your duty to take care of that. Make decisions that would help you and her out. Becoming an animator? That is awesome. Make something out of it, but do it in stride. Moving out to Cali might be too big of a leap in my opinion, but something that could happen in time. Personally, I'd take a break from Carlos if I were you. You both are young and have a ton of real life stuff going on that only becomes harder to do because of a long distance relationship. I think it is time for you to leave that idea of having a boyfriend behind for a while. Focus on supporting yourself and come back to boys when you're established. That is just my opinion though. I mean, I'm talking to a girl now who I've liked for a while, but I won't jump into a relationship with her till I know I can support myself first. I hope this helps. And she says, yeah, I don't want to move to California until I finish my education. I see where you're coming from. It's really difficult. I'll try my hardest to focus on different things. Then she says, usually it's the guy who comes my way. It's annoying. I just don't know. I'll try my absolute hardest to not think think about it and do what I can. Sorry, I was in a Skype call. Then she sends him an article. He thanks her. They just start talking about the convention and what cons they're going to next. He says he's going to Sweet Apple Acres, and she talks about showing up as well. And he says, cool, hopefully I'll see you there. So continuing to talk about meeting up at future cons after everything's happened. She says, hopefully, what's up? He replies, not much, just got home from EQLA. You? She says, just got back from jogging. Oh yeah? Home sweet home? Lol. He says, you know it. Just good to be back home though. I still need to drive back from the airport. She says, I know that feel. Do you get post-con blues? And he replies, not at the moment, but I think I will later. Don't you have a con coming up soon? And she says, yes, at the end of the month. Cutie Mark Con, then Trot Con a few weeks later. He says, awesome, I hope you have a fun time. And she says, thank you. The VA for Babseed is going to be there. I'm excited, but I'm more excited for EFNW so I can meet up with Acoustic Brony. He says, nice. She says, yeah. Do you know if they are going to have EQLA next year? For context, she is bringing up going to EQLA again next year, whereas this previous year they had just done EQLA before, which is again where the second incident allegedly happened. And the first allegations that Emily put out, which she was anonymous for, on Brony Fan Notes account. And so Saberspark responds, not yet, but I'm keeping an open ear. That is a con that I don't want to miss. And she says, right? EQLA was my favorite. I would have gone if it weren't on Mother's Day weekend. And he replies, oh, you're a good person for staying home. That was big of you. And she says, thank you. I just really appreciate my mother and what she's done for me. I love her. And so then he says, hey, can I ask you a random question? I've pondered it for a while, but didn't want to since we had a rough patch. Now that we are buds again, I feel like I can ask it. And she says, sure thing, man. And he replies, did you ever tell anyone that we had S? I never did, but I wanted to see if you did. I'm not angry, just curious. And she replies, nah, I just told Sandra and Carlos that you sort of mess with my feelings. Like I said, that was our secret. Sorry, I didn't mean to type anything after that. And Saber replies, cool. I was just wondering, thanks for keeping this between you and me. She says, of course, no worries. And he replies, so, was I gonna bed or no? And she laughs, saying, I thought I already told you. Yes. And he says, cool, lol. I was just wondering. She says, lol, no worries. He replies, so are you and Eddie together now? Ed, or just good friends? Cause he's a cool guy. And she replies, he's a great guy. I love him, but we're just friends. And he says, okay, cool. She replies, no worries. We're just besties. And he says, by the way, I like your new cosplay. She says, which one? He says, I loved your Sweetie Belle one. You looked hot in that. And she says, oh, thank you. I was pretty proud of that cosplay. Then later that evening at about 9 p.m., she texts him, I'm lonely. Entertain me. He says, I'm thinking of a number between 1 to 2,473. Guess. She replies, 69? No. 103? Wait, 2,453? And Saber says, lol, 69, but no. The answer was banana. And she says, damn it, I should have known. I had a banana today. Yeah, I'm a dork. And he replies, how does eating a banana make you a dork? Lol. And she says, no, the 69 thing. Bananas are anything but dorky. And he replies, 69ing and bananas. A dangerous but sexy combo. And she says, very true. It's also fun. And he replies, lol, I like how you call it fun. Most people would be like, oh, but you're like, yippee instead. And she says, lol, I'm a little different than the other girls. And he replies, lol, I guess so. And she says, so what are you up to? He says, just browsing Emger while laying in bed. You? She says, cool, just watching Netflix and relaxing in bed. He asks what she's watching, and she says, Doctor Who, I'm such a nerd. He replies, nerds know how to have the best fun. I'm a nerd too, so no need to feel bad at all. And she says, good, and it's true. Nerds do have the best fun. Besides ponies, what else do you nerd out about? And he says, ever play StarCraft before? Because that game is the shit. And she replies, oh, I've heard of it, but never got the chance to play. I heard it was amazing. And he says, I'm nodding off to sleep, so I'm gonna crash. I have work real early in the AM. Been nice chatting with you, Em. I'll catch up with you later this week. Night. And she says, all right, good night. Then a couple of days later, she says, Saber, I can't sleep at about 3 a.m. Then another couple of days, she says, what's up? Then about a week later, she says, your Larson line trended at our con. You should feel proud. And the last text message is June 1st, 2013 at 1:45 a.m. where she says, whoa, back up. Now what did I do? And for context, again, as Copen said in his video, this is again him unfollowing her on Twitter. And Beckett also sent me DMs from Emmy, which was her response to him interviewing her, which the response is also in his video, when she was directly confronted over the existence of these text messages and some of the contents in them and what she said. So she sent this message to Beckett saying, over the last 7 years, I have slowly developed onset chronic migraine disease, which has affected my long and sometimes even short-term memory in regards to conversations I have had. I remember most physical in-person events well, especially ones that affect me, but many online and through text conversations and details regarding them have either gone foggy or I can't recall them entirely. This is why most conversations with Saberspark after the two events were not conversations I even remember happening until them being brought up to me, and even then, I had to take time to remember. I also did not recall Saber being physically present while at Downtown Disney during a really horrible panic attack I was having. anything. I do remember feeling overheated and began to hyperventilate and needed to skip out on watching the Brony documentary events entirely because I felt lightheaded and like I was going to pass out from hyperventilating due to that panic attack. I only had recalled my friend and I went to the event with being with me, along with a prominent voice actor from the show checking on me and showing me emotional support. I imagine I didn't remember the detail of anyone else witnessing this because of how really panicked I was. Even now, after being told Saber was there, I genuinely cannot recall anyone else who also may have been there with me during this because I was hyperventilating and unable to think terribly well. GiftTech also posts the video on the R YouTube drama subreddit and says, a new video from Cope and Seath has come out, with Saberspark officially going on record to refute Emily Jones's allegations. To summarize, Saberspark gives his side of the story on how they met and their relationship unfolded, and he provides correspondence and evidence which states that they were closer than Emily claims, that there was correspondence for months following the alleged incidents, and that it appears she deliberately hid this evidence and banked on Saberspark not being able to recover it himself to support her side of the story. He did pass on this information to Mr. Enter as well, and that reaction is also present. He out and out now says Emily lied to him. He also discloses Bonk's DMs with Mr. Enter as well. OP continues his thread. I understand that some people here are not going to like this video existing or being posted, and this is going to get downvotes. It is what it is though, and it is an episode in that ongoing drama. Regardless, I think all sides of this story should be heard. What people then do with that information provided after is up to them. Then they provide a timeline of events, which is May 1st original allegations, KP's video, then Saberspark responded a couple weeks later, Cope and C's first video, Mr. Enter's interview, then the second response that he put on his YouTube page, which we read earlier, and then this video with the interview, and then finally Mr. Enter's response via livestream. And then OP continues, personal thoughts. It's starting to look a lot like Saberspark was targeted because he's friends with Black Griffin. I feel like had Saberspark just kept his head down and not involved himself, he likely would have just weathered this without somebody putting him in their scopes. Yes, I get it. He's friends with him, and guilty or not, you're going to want to defend your friend, but for people who have followings like Saberspark and Black Griffin, that's perhaps not the best thing to do so publicly. I still personally do not like Saberspark. I really dislike that he used his initial response to attempt to discredit allegations made against Black Griffin as well. It's no wonder people assume he has skeletons in his closet as well. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I still believe the Black Griffin allegations. There's enough to back them up. Any in-depth discussion of them, beyond pointing out Saber's use of them and responding to his own, is not the purpose of this post. However, there is one thing I would like to point out. As with the previous video he made, Beckett refers to the Black Griffin document as Brony Fandone's document, which is an error as Bonk did not make the document himself, and it opens up with an admonishing note against Bonk, KP, etc. He made this same error in his previous video. It's also not great to ignore Emily's own evidence regarding her own controversies and to continue to use those allegations as a stick to beat her with without even acknowledging that evidence. He had the excuse that this wasn't known in his first video, but he shows us a clip from Mr. Enter's interview with her, and the document with receipts refuting most of what he's talking about was presented there, so either he didn't look or he's ignoring them. I personally think that Mr. Enter handled this as best as he could with the evidence he had at the time, and had this evidence surfaced sooner, his own video would have unfolded very different. Based on these things and the obviousness that, unlike Mr. Enter, who tried to approach this as neutrally as possible, Beckett has his view and is not willing to include anything that seriously contradicts it. I cannot wholesale side with this video, although the evidence shared plus Mr. Enter's response does appear to strike down a major amount of Emily Jones's accusations. The absolute certain thing I can conclude from all of this is that the credibility of everyone who's involved with Emily Jones has at best taken a hit. Mr. Enter has taken that hit too since he platformed her. I think you can get the sense of his anger at that in his talk with CNS, and at worst been utterly decimated, KP, Bonk, etc. And there is something very iffy about this whole situation. Sketchbrook replies, unsurprised that Enter now has egg on his face. I really wasn't impressed with this video or his interview with her. He didn't press her at all and gave her a platform to spread that we now know is misinformation. Some of his criticism against Saber also felt very petty, almost as if he's a failed cartoon reviewer while Saber made it. CNS had his finger on the pulse all along. Sketchbrook makes into the post saying, hey, why is nobody talking about how, if this is true, Emily technically SA'd Saber? According to his account, she said she had an IUD. Lying about contraception is stealthing, which violates consent. And Spirited Pay replies, plus scaring him with a possible pregnancy and refusing to get a test until they meet again. Not as bad as the rest of the stuff she did to him, but that anxiety must have done a number on him. And Sketchbrook says, yep, I think her first plan was to baby trap him, then she doubled back on a pregnancy scare to try and keep him in her orbit. That's freaking ghoulish. Poor Saber having to go through that. Benevole says, I think there is an extremely potent irony in the believe all victims crowd essentially using a victim as ammunition in an unrelated drama. They did an immense disservice to Emily by sending her to Bonk and then KP. I am 100% certain that, behind the scenes, they didn't care about the claims at all. They just wanted to punish Saberspark for something else. Listen to all victims. Hear them out. Take them them seriously. Give them the time they need to tell their story. But belief always has to be earned, because all it takes is one bad actor to cause a train wreck. The Duke Lacrosse hoax is a looming specter for me, and why I go into these accusations as neutrally as possible. Starpunk Saint says, they wanted to punish Saberspark for being friends and defending Black Griffin. That is all that this was. Like, it is not a coincidence that all of the people involved in the anti-Black Griffin camp were the ones pushing the allegations and dismissing any criticism. Emmy only came forward because Amy knew, whispered in her ear, and told her to go to bonk. Like, regardless of how you feel about Griffin, trust me, I think he is a fucking creep, these fucking idiots have torpedoed their own credibility and credibility of the alleged victims by pulling this shit. Then Brony fandomed the original poster of the allegations, makes some tweets on the situation, and gets into a little back and forth with Cope and Seethe. Amy's husband has allegations against him. I'm so excited to see if that goes anywhere. Here I am doing an interview with a con chair, where the only purpose it serves is asking and hoping Sophie loses something. Bonk got corn of an OC. That makes him a fan of R. And he ends that section by just admitting it's only there because he's a petty little shit. I didn't think highly of who Saber chooses to engage with, ever, but Enter gets worse every day. Is there a single reason why any of this had to be done through a random asshole? Saber is a giant YouTuber. Even Enter has more of a base than this right-wing baiter. No matter what, the fact that they're giving this guy a platform is gross. I'm not going to say anything definitively on what Saber said/showed when it comes to Emily without hearing her first. I won't pretend that it looks good, but Saber defends Black Griffin and boosts anyone who does too, so it's hard for me to trust him on anything. Here is what he thinks. According to what he says in his video though, either Emily is lying or was manipulated by me and others to believe she was abused by a YouTuber, despite the fact that we told her when Amy came to us about this that we weren't up to talking on it. If all the information up front proves Saber's innocence, then what's the point of the QAnon level conspiracy crafting, literally calling us a cabal and trying to preemptively make sure that if Emily was lying, we weren't also lied to. We somehow made her. It's fucking dumb. Again, the inclusion of this random asshole does nothing but make things harder for Saber to fully clear anything. He could have provided this information himself or gone to anyone for help. Validating wannabe Keemstar will forever be something wrong Saber did. Cope and Seethe replies to this by saying, oh, he's like big mad. The wannabe Keem is uncalled for though. He hasn't talked to me since I said Xylee should leave the lolcow mines. Suspicious. Mr. Enter also tweets out the video saying if you're curious about the Saberspark situation, there will be a revealing update in about 10 minutes. Things have been wild over the past 3 weeks. And Sagging Arts replies, I really don't think this is a reliable narrator. I'm really disappointed you would give this YouTube channel a platform to speak after how much harassment they've done. And it's tweets of Cope and Seethe saying, because retards would claim it's doxing if I didn't, and I thought I'd give myself a break. Nice to see that I'm also going to have to hear from freaks on the other side as well for a few weeks. And another tweet, thought we'd give some highlights from the Ethan Klein court docs. Didn't think this drama could get any more retarded, but somehow we're here. And another tweet, is this really the level of insanity Bonk has reached? Bro, you are making allegations that Griffin is a groomer. Obviously that's going to be the focus. Once you make that accusation, no one is going to care even if you've got a supercut of him screaming the N-word. And then finally him quoting himself, where he screenshots Bonk's Ko-Fi saying that it's pathetic, and the quote tweet says, clearly I'm being mean, and fandom does deserve help, which is why I'm happy to officially offer Bonk $100 if he does a 40-minute interview with me. Interview first, of course. Let me know, bro. Shady replies, please let me know if I'm missing something, but does this guy being a drama-hungry asshole necessarily negate his evidence? And Cope and Seethe quote tweets him saying, this is an unironically based question to ask. Then Brony continues to tweet out, people are demanding I call Emmy a liar right now. I won't. I have more reason to doubt Saber than to doubt Emmy. The people painting the picture constantly purposely paint it as misleading as possible, and I don't ever side with anything simply because people say I should. When I posted Emmy's testimony, I didn't tell people to condemn him. I corrected people who leaned too heavily on doubting a possible victim. I also corrected people trying to celebrate his demise, but I never told people they were required to believe it, so don't tell me. Here's what I know for certain though. My reservations around Mr. Enter were always 100% correct. He is still the same person who believes they're being the wisest in the room when saying Turning Red needed to discuss 9/11. Everyone Saber chooses to associate with are some of the worst people possible. From Griffin to Seethe, none of them have been anything more than revolting, unhinged, abusive. Maybe Saber only defends people like that as opposed to being like that, but it's unlikely. The only reason Seethe claims allegations against Peter New exist is because Claire claimed he made an S-will joke in front of a minor. She doesn't elaborate, and she lies often. Seethe does not give that context, relishes the concept of it, and spreads the rumor. And last, the people who have been my angriest opposers have consistently not cared what happens, who gets hurt, or what gets done, as long as they get to hate me publicly. I poked the beehive. It could sting, but the beehive has to go, and it's stinging doing doesn't change that. Now there's a whole bunch more back and forth between Cope and Seed and Brony Fandon't. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. I'll save it for another video. Shout out to our tier 3 members, internet representatives Kiko, Salsoud, and Coldest Bandito. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you Aura for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description for a 14-day free trial, and I'll see you all in the next episode.